First, my definition of going deeper. So, discovering your true potential by unjudgmentally exploring your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And the reason we do this is there's so much potential we have, and we want to unlock it so we can have our personal growth and transform in areas that don't suit who we are. So, is this thought true with the type of person I am? Am I behaving in my ideal self? And if you notice there's a word there, unjudgmentally. Judgment's a confusing word. In mindfulness, they say to be non-judgmental. But when I do strength training, judgment's a huge strength. So it's really about making better judgments. And a lot of times our bad judgments are self-judgments. So when we're exploring ourselves, we go deeper. It's not about being judgmental. It's replacing that with curiosity. Like not, oh, I'm such an idiot. Why did I say that? It's more, oh, I wonder why I said that. Why form? Number one, a retreat is an ideal place to go deeper. And I think one of the reasons is you're dedicating time. We're all busy. And many times I find it difficult to spend 20 minutes to meditate. So it's difficult to do your self-work. But if you're committing to the 2 to 3 days to take off, you have that time to do it. Another reason is you're not alone, there's help there. And that comes in two areas. One is the help from your group members. They know you. They observe things they can share with you. And they have personal experiences, how they went through similar situations, which can all be very helpful. And you bring in an expert facilitator here. And there are the advantages, well, A, hopefully they know the area that they're doing. They have expertise in this type of modality, whatever method you're going deeper, and the experience in working with the group. And safety, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we underestimate the value of safety, especially emotional safety, but it's so key. And hopefully you've experienced when you're with people you can trust, you have comfort. And when you're able to speak your truth, it helps you move forward. And of course, the key thing when we're doing this is confidentiality. And from my experience, Forum presents one of the best environments for that. So this is an example. One retreat is on, I call it mindful intelligence, removing your mental and emotional blocks that hold you back from reaching your potential. So she's out for a walk in the park. She regrets what she did yesterday. She's worried about what's coming up tomorrow. She has no concept really of where she is now. Meanwhile, the dog's out having a great time, okay, enjoying the sun and nature. We tend to live like she's living. We want to live more like the dog. We want to be in the moment. So when I teach this, it's really about clarity. It's about being able to see things clearer. Because when you can see things clearer, you can respond back in a more authentic way. It's about being present. Whatever it's presence with a work you're doing or present with a person. The power of looking someone in the eyes and having that person know that you're connecting with them is extremely valuable. And I find also, I do a lot of work with attention deficit disorder, ADHD, and I find mindfulness can be very helpful as well in improving your focus, hence your productivity. So why is all this so hard? These are the blocks that in a retreat we would look at. One is the overthinking, which that slide showed, where we have so many thoughts going on. Times it can be overwhelming. So it's about learning the ability to step away from those thoughts. But then when we step away, we notice a lot of the thoughts are not true. So many thoughts are based on our biases, our prejudices, our distortions, and fear. Even though we hide it, fear plays a big part in so many of our decisions. And we want to be aware of this. And the challenge is, it's unconscious. We're not aware that we're doing this. So we end up responding so fast, we can't really think. Denial is a huge block. And that comes into lack of acceptance. We refuse to accept the situation and what's going on in the moment. And many people think that's a weakness. To me, it's a major strength. By accepting a situation does not mean you like it. does not mean you want to change it, but it means this is what's happening now, and this is what this moment requires me to do about it. You can change the world tomorrow, but you got to accept it today in order to do it. Emotions. I'm not sure the age range, cultural difference here, but growing up too, I was taught big boys don't cry, which ends up giving us a message. It's not wise to connect with our emotions. And I'm not talking about irregulated emotions. I'm talking about our true emotions of what we feel inside. Because for me, emotions can be a compass and our instinct. And that's a powerful tool to have access to in business as well as life. And we're going to talk a little later a bit about this, but the inner critic, I think one of our biggest blocks. So that is to come. So another very popular workshop I did is about blind spots. We all have them and they're dangerous. So what we want to do is we want to discover what the blind spots are so we could be aware and overcome them. Just give you a brief example. Like a metaphor for me of blind spots is an iceberg. It's beautiful, but we're only seeing like maybe 10-15% of it. Much of it is hidden underneath. And that's the danger. And that's so much of what happens in life. A personal example is, I mentioned ADHD. I have ADHD, but I never realized it until I was 40 and finally diagnosed. So during school, it played out in one way in particular, my spelling. And I was constantly told by teachers that I was stupid. My parents were frustrated. In classes that I did well in, I was told that I was just lazy because obviously I'm smart enough. Why can't I spell? So all this translated to, as an adult, if somebody would remark on my spelling, it'd trigger me. It'd make me very upset. Even with my past girlfriend, when she would remark, I thought I was being very nice when I said, "Really? Did you read what I said?" Like, I thought I was pretty smart, sorry. And you're commenting on a spelling mistake? Somewhat petty. In reality, it was defensive. And defense is what gets in the way. So when I looked at this, what is really going on from this metaphor? We have at the top of the pyramid, my girlfriend wanted to help me, not wanting me to look like an idiot by having something misspelled. But on the bottom, I have the past, all those teachers saying those things. I have my parents' frustration. And then what was I responding to? To the bottom, to the past. And that's not where life happens. So, the growth for me was to first see this and then to be able to bring myself back into the present. And honestly, if I have a spelling mistake in this presentation now and someone in the audience pointed it out to me, I would actually I'd be sorry I made it, but I'd be thankful. So it all starts with the courage to look at why we're responding a certain way rather than blame somebody else. And then with that awareness to work in that area for growth. This is the big one. That voice inside us, that inner critic that's telling us why we're doing it wrong, why we can't be successful. To me, it's one of the most damaging parts of our life. So what this program's about, it's about creating a whole new relationship with this evil inner critic. Because I don't believe it's evil. I don't believe that any part that you have is bad. I believe all our parts, even that nastiest voice, means the best for you. The problem is, its strategy is totally wrong. It's stuck in the past. So what we do here is we get to know that part, educate it. And once that part no longer has this burden, this bad belief, it doesn't go away. It stays. And it stays in some state that's going to be very beneficial. Many times it brings more curiosity, compassion, because It's the word transformational. I know I used in the presentation. You've heard it here a number of times. This, to me, is the most powerful transformational work I've done, because we're changing the relationship with ourselves. And it also relates to, who's heard you have to love yourself. You have to love yourself. Now, I always used to laugh at that. Like, how can I love myself when I do these stupid things? Since I've gotten, this becomes almost my religion, I can truly say that I do love myself. Even these parts that are working so hard and were causing me damage, they're trying to help me. And there's a gratitude for that. And of course, the re-education. Another treat, it's not as deep, and I'm going to go through this a little more to give you, because I like giving, anything I talk, I want to give you some take-home value. So I'm going to do this in the happiness one. It's really about understanding the connection between happiness and success, and developing strategies to improve your business and overall well-being. You know, when I was growing up, my father taught me, work hard, sacrifice, and you be successful, and then you'll be happy. May he rest in peace, God bless him. Research shows him wrong. All the research shows that happiness is not necessarily the result of success, it's the precursor of success. You know, there's been many research studies in business, and they discovered that a happy workforce is much more productive. One survey showed sales were up over 35%. Yeah, so what we do when we work on this in advanced group is to come up with strategies to help, either if it's a business-focused one for our company or for ourselves. So one thing that comes out, people look for that event. You know, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy when I get married. I'm going to be happy when I get a job. Well, those that have been through those experiences, not quite the case, right? They lead to further challenges, so on and so forth. Even winning the big lottery, $70 million here. It might bring a short-term happiness, but almost all the research shows you come back to your set level. So it's not about hitting that home run. It's not about that big event. Real long-term happiness is created with single events. So I'm wondering, thoughts? Anybody have any ideas what a ratio should be between how many positive feelings you would have during the day and negative? Not sure if there's any feedback, but the actual number, 3-to-1. So during a day, you want to have 3 things that you feel good about versus 1 thing you feel negative about. The average person is maybe 1-to-1 to 1-to-2. If you're getting around 1-to-1, you're in more of a depressive state. So, interested information, but what do we do about that? We're all born with what's called the negativity bias. So our negativity bias allows us to hold on to what's wrong more than what's right. It allows us to see what's wrong a lot easier than seeing what's right. And you should respond quicker to things that are negative. And this is responsible for so much unhappiness in our life. So there's a reason for it. Way back when, evolution in prehistoric times, as we're walking around like cavemen and cavewomen, that noise behind us, it could be an animal ready to pounce. The smoke we see ahead could be another tribe coming with additional dangers. We could afford to miss a pleasant experience, but if you miss any of these negatives, you're dead. So our brains were formed to notice what's wrong, to give it a priority. So it worked. Evolutionary-wise, here we are, right? We survived. But yet we survived with these Stone Age brains, which creates so much anxiety. So what we want to do here, and my goal in the next less than 5 minutes, is to help you change your brain from a negative bias to a more positive bias. So if I was working with the client here, or I was able to here, I'd say, who thinks that's possible? And there usually may be one or two skeptical people. So what I'd like to do for demonstration is I'm going to show you an image. You can look at it for maybe 5 seconds, and I'm going to ask you what you see. Okay, so typical answer is people see it looks like a university lecture hall. Correct. If you can notice, right, just the two, it's actually a dog, big dog. So I would think nobody saw it. If you did see it, you're very rare. The point here is not that you didn't see it, but the question becomes, will you ever look at this picture again and not see a dog? No. And that's because your brain knows that there's a dog there. So what we want to do is we want to train your brain that it exists, right? That there are good things happening. Because I don't think the issue is about creating good things in your life. I think the issue is about noticing it. So let me share this. And there's a lot of this research on this study. If anybody wants to drop me a note, I'm happy to send you out the written instructions for this. So what you do at the end, I do it at the end of the day in a journal I have, where I want to record 3 successes in the day, 3 things that I felt good about. They don't have to be home runs. They might be. If you had a great sale today, you got a new client, that could be a win. But it could be if you had a nice conversation with your partner. You had that special smile from your child. The lady serving you coffee, the man serving you coffee. They gave you a special smile. Anything that created a positive feeling. And then just give some thought to what you personally did to make this happen. Because I'm not talking about a gratitude journal here. You have control of these things. We really, I think, really do create our own universe. So in the case of, obviously, success with a client, your hard work, whatever strategy you had, got it. The great conversation with your partner, did you open it up? Were you more open with them? When you went to get your coffee, did you go in and smile? Whatever it is, just remember the 3 things. It's that simple. Within my experience, within about 3 weeks, I started noticing the wins when they would happen. And when you notice a win when it happens, you feel good. Like, just take a moment now and think about something good that you felt good about in the last 12 hours. Could be something you learned, could be something you meant to hear, could be an idea you have. The brain almost relives part of it. So that was a positive experience. But what that led to is I was thinking, you know what? If I would go outside of my comfort zone now and make a call to this person, this client, I can create a win. So the wins actually became motivating for me, which is I was very excited when that happened. Another nice aspect of the wins is, today might be a little low day. It's not, this is a highlight, but what was my win last year this day? So I can look back and look at the wins. It also can help me balance. If my coaching practice, if for a few days in a row, all my wins are my clients. I had a great session with Suzanne, John, who went well. I'd say that's great, but I maybe need to get out a little more. I want to have a little more balance in my life. I don't want all my wins to be work and orientated. And the last interesting offshoot of it is for couples, is for those that are in a relationship. Just before you go to sleep together, each of you share a couple win, something positive that happened between the 2 of you during that day. Yeah, I've been doing it for probably about 7 years. Many of my clients have been doing it for years. I guess I'd like to ask the audience, we haven't connected yet, but if they try this, if they're prepared to, for the next 2 weeks, just list 3 good things that happened to them during the day. If so, if you can put up your hands, it'd be great. It's a very positive exercise.